Thanks for tuning in to the Palm Beach Podcast, a weekly show highlighting people making a positive impact in our community. With your hosts, sports chiropractor and athletic trainer, Dr. James Spencer, photographer and art director, Mike Jones. Our show is brought to you by Pump House Coffee Roasters, the Lotus Travel Company, Opportunities Self-Serve Beer Hall, and the Bishop's Water Company. Hello, and welcome to the Palm Beach Podcast. My name is Mike Jones. I'm hanging out at Media Zone with a couple cool dudes.
Definitely dudes.
Sharp-dressed man over here in the house today, Spence.
Suited and booted us, making us look bad, but that's okay.
Well, I had to bust out the collar today because I knew who was coming in.
Yes. So, special guest and friend, colleague, local media meetup fellow, Justin, founder and CEO of Lincoln Digital. Welcome, bro.
Spence, Mike, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me and Lincoln Digital Group team. It's a pleasure to be here and speak with you guys.
Yeah,
we've been looking forward to having you in here for quite some time. I know you guys are busy over there doing some big things.
We're very fortunate. We're always busy with something, helping local businesses, Palm Beach County businesses, all over the state for that matter, grow. And I consider ourselves very fortunate to have the opportunities.
Yeah, why don't you give the listeners a little bit of background information of what you're doing for a lot of these businesses locally and within the state?
Sure. So as a starting point, Lincoln Digital Group is a full service marketing and advertising agency. And what that means in simple terms is we solve growth problems and brand problems for businesses, be it marketing strategy, be it messaging strategy, campaign execution. We provide a lot of the growth tools that businesses need to take themselves to the next level and get on a growth track. So as a full service agency, we provide creative services, we provide media services, website design and development, branding as part of creative, of course. So the full gamut, be it traditional, digital, integrated campaign solutions, we deliver. We have a team of nearly 10. We're a remote team, so we span the entire United States as far as our ability to deliver and provide services to our clients, and be it lead generation or awareness, we have the expertise and the solutions to get businesses on the right track, fight stagnation, and get on to a point of growing their business.
Well, one thing I've always really liked about your guys' content is you bring the data. Like all of your posts have like a stat, a fact, and I think that's a really powerful tool to help people realize that marketing is a lot more than just like airy-fairy, Instagram liking. And so you guys, you kind of like spill the secret sauce sometimes, right? Like you share like the inside scoop for how you help people. And I think that's pretty admirable.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a big believer that the stakes are simply too high for businesses that need to grow and want to grow to believe in an agency or marketing partner that does not have the results to back it up. So I have full confidence in putting not only a lot of how we do it, but the results that our team collectively delivers for our clients out there. I want to show it. I want to show that we get the results that businesses need to grow. I'm proud of our team as well for delivering those sort of results. We take it as a challenge month after month to keep raising that bar. And I welcome sharing what we do and how we do it, because I think that that's imperative for businesses that want to grow. They need that confidence. You can't waste your time with a business that can't deliver that.
That's true. And having transparency is something that will add value to the team as well, and to what services you're providing. When you have objective data to prove what you guys are doing is working, that tangible evidence is also a buy-in factor for a lot of future clients.
We hear that. Yeah, it's one of those things that it gives prospects the confidence. Just last week we were meeting with a prospect and they asked, why this approach, why this formula, why this framework? And I said, frankly, it's because we have almost a decade of confidence in knowing that it works, right? There are all sorts of ways, Mike, to your point, to say, hey, it looks nice, it's pretty, but marketing is both art and science, right? And so you need the science and the factual objective figures, like you mentioned, Spence, to say, yes, it looks great. It also moves your needle and makes your bottom line and your top line, of course, takes them to new levels. And we do that. That's our framework. That's our approach. There's certainly plenty of ways to skin cats, so to speak. But when people come to us and need us to solve key problems, we go to the framework that we know works, and we have nearly a decade of confidence in delivering.
And I have to say, I love your team.
Thank you. Me too.
You guys, like, for anyone who hasn't seen the Media Meetup posts on the Palm Beach podcast and over at Media Zone, Justin has partnered with Jana Angel, and their two brands have been hosting a monthly media meetup here in Palm Beach County. So we've been to the Delray Beach Market. We've been to the
Ben.
What was the upstairs, like Speakeasy?
Speakeasy 215.
215.
Koyo Taco.
Koyo Taco. So some really fabulous events. And what we talked about with Jana when she was on the show was like, technically she's kind of our competitor, you know? She sells video production services. And technically you're kind of Media Zone's competitor as well, right? But I think that when we realized that in Palm Beach County, there's enough projects for everybody and then some, that we're all going to either be too busy at one point or have to leverage each other. And so it's always been nice to come and just pick your brain and vice versa, you know, like each month be like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And like, we just scored a gig with Jana to do like a concert next month where, like, you know, if we didn't have that relationship of being friends as well as competitors, like that would have never happened, right?
Yeah, I think you make a lot of great points in there, Mike. I mean, first off, shout out to Jana and Posh Theory.
Of course.
Great team. It's been an honor to work with her. We look forward to continuing to grow together. As far as the area in Palm Beach County and Media Meetup, you know, I think we're living in probably the best time ever to be a professional in Palm Beach County. The area has been in a growth trajectory over the past, say, 5 to 10 years. It's now about to flourish, right? We all see what's happening here as far as people moving here, businesses moving here, construction in the pipeline, especially for office buildings and the buildings that support business growth that's new to Palm Beach County. And I think we're on the precipice of becoming a national leader as far as business opportunity and the type of growth that comes out of South Florida. And to your point, with that much opportunity, not only is there enough for everyone and we want to help everyone we can, but for those that can't, we also want to help them get together and meet people that can, right? And that's where the Media Meetup comes in. Sincerely appreciate everything you've done to you attending, you know, and support first and foremost, and then the edits and everything you've done to create media to help us get the word out there. But we know creatives, brands, media professionals, they needed a place to come together. And so Jana and I were talking about it. It was December. I remember it very clearly. We were at the Boca Bowl. Shout out to ESPN West Palm for having us. And we just said, you know, this area, there's so much talent, but there's not the solution for creatives, brand professionals, media professionals to come together and network and just grow with each other. Because again, there's plenty of opportunity, but let's bring it together.
And us marketing people, we love like a little cocktail session, you know?
I'd call it the dirty secret of marketing, but I don't even think it's a secret. You know, Mad Men's kind of ruined that, right? It's way out there now. So.
And everyone we attend there's always more and more people showing up, which is neat to learn about different people who are doing similar things, but we're also going to learn from each other as well.
Definitely. I mean, the type of things that new attendees come up to me and say, right, when I ask them how they find out about it, what specialty they have or what area of marketing they work in media, you know, I feel like I've experienced a lot, but then every time it opens my eyes, right? It's like, oh, I didn't even consider that was happening here in West Palm, or there was a specialty agency for that or a boutique for that, right? And to your point, Spence, it's, wow, you know, I didn't think about delivering email campaigns that way previously. Thank you for coming up to me, introducing yourself, and enlightening me on that.
Well, I think the boys over at the Pump House, when they came on the show, Christian and Alex, they said like the rising tide and all the boats rise together type of situation. And that really resonates because like all of the small businesses, we're all in this together, right? Like the Walmarts, the Targets, like whatever, those guys are all going to be fine no matter what happens. But we're really the backbone of the community, right? And so every single time that we have gone to a media meetup, you always end by saying like, how can we do better? Right. And I always really appreciate that. And I always give you candid feedback.
You do.
You know, because I want to see it grow too. And like, sometimes you just got to be like, what do we got to do?
It's one of those things that, you know, we don't do it just to get together and have drinks, right? We always want to make it a better experience for creatives, brand professionals. Whenever we do something, we want to do it to the best of our ability, right? And the only way you do that is by getting more feedback more quickly and implementing it as quickly as you can thereafter to keep that loop tight. And that's the approach we take with marketing and campaigns for clients. It's how can we get the best feedback as quickly as can and then learn from it? Same thing for an event, right? How do we make sure everyone's experience is as good as it can be, and how do we make it better? And then how can we implement that feedback ASAP for the next one?
And for a local small business in Palm Beach, what's the best way to reach out to you or get in contact with you?
So great question. Thank you for asking. A couple really easy ways. Number one, Instagram at Lincoln Digital Group. Our URL, of course, lincolndigitalgroup.com. Our main office line is 561-815-5015. Those are probably the three easiest ways. Contact at lincolndigitalgroup.com as well. But also for someone who doesn't want to wait for a response, we offer online booking for initial calls. They just go to our page, hit the contact button. They can book a 30-minute block at their leisure and convenience, and we'll be right there to help them.
Share the story of the name.
Thank you. So it's a great question. I was living in Chicago, Illinois at the time where Lincoln Digital Group was founded. And you may know that it's nicknamed the land of Lincoln, state of Illinois. I was living in the Lincoln Park neighborhood of Chicago. So that's two Lincolns. And I share a birthday with Abraham Lincoln.
Stop.
So that's the trifecta. So
It's beautiful, bro.
Yeah. Very poetic, right? For an English major in a marketing company. So that was the trifecta, and obviously the digital was an important factor of that. So it came together. Group obviously sounds big, sounds right like you do a lot. So put it together, and I was just walking down the street one day talking with my parents, and my dad said, "I got it, right? Like this is the name." And so that's how it came together. Before that, while we were doing what I would call full service agency work. We were still operating under the name Business Writing Solutions because I started the business as a copywriting shop. 2010, I was graduating early. It's like, I'm going to be pretty bored here, so why don't I try to make some money before I graduate? Blogs, SEO, articles, that's how we started. That's all we did. About a year and a half, 2 years into that, we got asked to help with email, social, developed some apps, and pretty soon what we were doing outgrew the name. So the name Lincoln Digital Group was actually well overdue when it came into be 2013.
Well, and I think that's a valuable thing for people to take in that are like a small business owner, is that it takes a group, it takes a team. Like it is more than a full-time job to market a business. And there's so many moving parts and components. I always like consider it like a pizza pie, right? Like you got your Facebook slice, got your Instagram slice, got your email marketing slice, got your website, your SEO, and all of those things have to work together, right? And so if you put that all on one person's plate, that's kind of a lot to do, right? And so when you leverage a group like Lincoln, you bring the expertise, and we'll have some of your team in here in a minute. But it's really a valuable thing to have collective heads. Like I used to love like the coffee meetings on the whiteboards with the marketing group. Like that is just awesome because everyone brings something to the table. Everyone has a different lens. And I think you really have put together a fantastic team. And before we bring them on, let's share like one cool story, something that Lincoln would like to share.
Well, I think that, just to tie up your point, I'm very fortunate for the team we have, right? It's like you said, it takes a team, takes experts, knowing your limitations as an entrepreneur and business owner, and putting together the best team and helping orchestrate it is really the job, right? Giving them the resources. I think cool story. I mean, to me, cool is watching businesses grow, right? Watching what we say we're going to do and make happen. To me, that's the coolest part. Watching their eyes light up, watching our clients achieve prosperity, watching our team say, wow, like I didn't know we could grow sales 45% year over year, right? I didn't know we could do some of the things we could do, and let's just keep making it happen.
And now they have more money to spend with you.
It's true. Clients see that success and they want to do it again. So of course we welcome that. Me personally, it's hard to pick a favorite child, but what's cool is getting to create the strategy and create brands and execute on the strategy of here's how you win battle 1, here's how you win battle 2, here's how you win battle 3, to, in a business sense, eventually win the war, right? Because you can't do everything at once as a business. And so seeing that strategy first play out in my head, and then 2, come together for our clients, and 3, seeing our team deliver work beyond my expectations a lot of times and saying, wow, number 1, how lucky am I? Number 2, how cool is this? Number 3, like, let's rock for our clients. That's cool. It doesn't matter the brand or the project. That's what I find really cool and fortunate to be able to experience every day.
What an opportunity. We get to do what we love.
And that's really all that you could say, right? Is like, you're obviously doing what your inner calling is, right? Like it's very clear when we speak to you that you're passionate about it. Like you're kind of a geek about this stuff, right? Like secretly. Don't let the nice cocktail and the nice suit fool anybody, because he's over here nerding out on analytics.
Big time.
But as a business owner, like that's how you make sound decisions. That's how you get like ROI percentages of like, I invested this much and this is what we're getting back. And that's really important, right?
It is. And I think the other thing too is you can also overanalyze, right? A lot of times, and you can get way down a wormhole. And like I was giving presentations 2018, 19, even part of 2020 of things that frankly, even a business owner wouldn't care about, right? Just getting way too technical. And then I realized that I need to change my approach a little bit. It's not about analyzing every little point. Business is about where you're most likely to succeed, right? So if I can be confident that I'm 51% or more likely to succeed with this decision, chances are it's a really good decision to make. And that's how you can make more decisions more quickly. I think how you can make more sound decisions is play the odds, right? All you can do is take the best steps. You can't control the outcome all the time. But if you're making the best odds, let the chips fall where they may, right? Let the best results win and let's get after it. And that's how I view it.
No losses, only lessons. And hopefully it's on someone else's dime. No, I'm just joking. Well, let's bring in some of your team. We'll take a quick cut here and we'll get set up.
Hey, Justin, why don't you introduce your teammate here?
Yep. It's a pleasure. I'd like to introduce Kayla Griffin, our director at Lincoln Digital Group. I'm happy she could be here to join us.
Hi.
Round of applause.
It's great to be here.
Drum
Thank
roll.
you for having me.
Yeah, so why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about what projects you're working on currently?
Well, I'm working on a variety of projects. I usually, there's usually a branding project we're doing where we're branding a new company somewhere in a discovery phase. I also do quite a bit of promotional work for some of the larger brands we work on. So a good variety of different projects. Right now we're doing some strategy explorations for new business. So that's been really fun.
Regular Renaissance woman over here.
She's way underselling it, but
Well, tell us about, I know we were talking before we went on about the work with Posh Theory and Jana, right?
Yeah, I've worked a good bit with Jana on a variety of projects. I'm actually helping to brand Posh Theory right now. We're not quite finished, but we're getting pretty close.
She's an all right human being.
Yeah, she's wonderful to work with. Honestly, it's really nice having another great creative there to bounce ideas off of. And I think there's a lot of energetic creative energy here. At least that's been my experience, is that people seem excited about the cities becoming more creative. There's a lot of people moving here from
all over.
Oh gosh, I know. I was about to say one place and then I'm like, well, where aren't they moving from? And so I think as more creatives come and more creatives encourage each other, and then we continue to do events, and like I think you mentioned, I overheard you talking about creative competition. I think you can have healthy competition, but also be supporting each other. Because on the other hand, you want to have healthy competition here because that's going to bring better work. You want the area to be known as a place that has creative leadership.
I think to get to the core of it, right, is we all want the area to thrive.
Exactly.
Creatively, right? And we want the businesses here to thrive. I know Kayla and I are from the area. I'm not sure about you gentlemen. It's probably one of the things we haven't spoken about is where you're originally from. But this is home. Right. Mm-hmm. We want the area to thrive. We want the work that we do for businesses here to say, wow, like this took us to the next level, right? This is our home. This is our area. The bigger, the better, the more expansive it gets, the more business can be prosperous here. And that's good for us creatively.
And I almost think it's not even a competition. It's synergy.
Yeah.
Because competition creates a scarcity model. And we were just talking how there's a plethora of work to go around, and it's how can we be symbiotic for each other and literally, how can we grow together? Mm-hmm. So it's cool to see that from where we've started to the media meetups to how quickly they're growing. You start to just see everybody's fits in and wants to share ideas.
Yeah, and then the level of the work always rises. I mean, you generally speaking will all rise collectively together because you're trying to outdo each other. You're trying to be the best. You're challenging each other. You're sharing your work. It's a healthy creative community, I think, is what we're working to grow.
So what's like a passion, like a goal for you? Like if you could work on one part of a brand or a marketing campaign, what's like the part that gets you the most excited?
Well, there's so many parts that I love. I mean, I've always had a passion for branding. That's probably what I enjoy the most. Mostly because I enjoy the psychology of it. I like that it brings in a lot of different elements that I enjoy, from typography to strategy to just communicating with small business owners. I love working with business owners. I love working with people. So if I get to work with a company where I have some say in the shape of their direction, I think that's always just a very unique opportunity. You essentially become a member of their team.
I think that one of the things Kayla undersold is she cares, right? She's really passionate about everything she does, all the work she puts in for a brand, especially in that initial branding or identity stage. Like I can tell, you can see it. You can see it through the screen. You can see it in person. She's giving you her absolute best because she wants this business to totally kick ass, right? And the brand is one way to start with that. And it's also going to inform everything else that happens after that. And that's what I think makes a great creative team, right? Is you can do a logo in a day if you have your eyes closed, right? And don't care, but it's how do we get it to the best it can be? And that's one of the things that stands out. Yeah.
And I think the goal with branding and all creative work in general is to not just, give the client a logo and walk away. You really want to create a template or a guide for them. You need to give them a toolkit is what they're looking for. Something that they can grow with, something that has elements to it that they're not on their own.
So you don't want them just in Microsoft Word going all willy-nilly?
Actually paint Microsoft Paint.
Yeah, they have beautiful.
Yeah, that's the quickest way to get your designer calling you and saying, what have you done? But I like to make sure they have the elements that they need to grow on their own and then come to me when needed. You don't expect them to go then build their website by themselves, but they should have a toolkit of things that they could potentially need and that you will foresee that they need. You need to really think of those things for them.
Well, just think about like the McDonald's song, like ba-da-da-da-da, right? That is part of their brand. And it's not a visual thing. And it's like something that gives you a feeling. Like they're the best at it, right? Even like that color of yellow almost makes you smell French fries. It's crazy how good. And I tell people all the time, like you still see McDonald's commercials on the TV. They don't have to advertise, but they're doing it to stay top of mind, right?
Right.
And it's like, oh yeah, I don't have to run ads this month. I'm like, really? I think you're wrong because like, look at the most successful businesses. They're still always staying present. So it's just interesting to see like you can marry like the love behind a brand, right? It's not just like, here's a font and a symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah. People, I think there's this misnomer or misconception out there, right? That, why is design important or why does design really matter? I can go on Fiverr or pick a platform and get something that works, right?
I'm going to beep that word out.
Yeah, do it. Yeah. It's a swear word. It's a swear word, right? But no, it matters because it creates connection, right? And the best design, the best visuals, they create the best connections. And it takes that connection to make someone want to buy from you. And that's why it becomes so important and why we spend so much time going back and forth, right? It's no, this is this shade, this is the best shade, or this is the best way to approach it because we want the best connection for our clients. We know that if their consumers connect with them at the best possible level, or at least better than their primary competitors, they're going to win. And it's that, like you said, that smell, that visceral feeling you get, right? Or that sense that just gets activated. That's what effective branding does. It is speaking to you in a way that you didn't even know about, but it just hits that subconscious point and you're like, I got to buy from that. And that's what we aim to do with all our design, all our visuals, everything.
Well, poor branding usually just ends up with a rebrand a few years later. I mean, it always ends up, you can certainly, a lot of people have to start off with something and they maybe can't afford a designer or a good designer. But as soon as they have success, they're going to notice there's a really big disconnect to who they are and what they're being shown visually because they're now growing and they're successful and it just doesn't connect anymore. And all of a sudden their branding is now holding them back from where they want to be. And now it's a problem. So it's either you can start off without that problem or you're going to run into the problem eventually.
Yeah, it's one of those things that your brand or your business can be limited by less than effective or less than the best branding you can get, right? Because at a certain point, to Kayla's point, you're going to be fighting against something that, for lack of a better term, you cheaped out on.
Yeah.
And that's going to cost you more money than you saved. And that's why excellent design, excellent branding leads the way, especially for consumer businesses.
And your rates are only going to be more expensive in the future. So
you know it.
They're going to lose out in the long run.
You know it.
Well, let's thank you so much for coming in and sharing a little slice. And let's bring in
great job, Kayla.
Let's bring in the next team member.
And Justin, why don't you introduce your next teammate?
Happy to, Spence. So with me here is Kara Mamoon. She is our social media expert, social media lead, the voice of Lincoln Digital Group across social, and very fortunate to have her on our team.
Woo! Yeah, welcome.
Thank you.
Go ahead, tell the listeners a little bit about what you're working on.
Well, right now we are just trying to get the end of the month done. Trying to put some motivational things up for the end of the week. A few videos, maybe some BTS shots of this. That'll be exciting. Just trying to put things out there that people will want to see. People can get helped by, things like that.
And the one thing that we were talking about earlier is the transparency that you guys, portray over your social media. And I know Mike was alluding to that as well. So why don't you talk a little bit about that as well?
Personally, I love to see process and progress. I get really excited about those things. So whenever I see other companies do it, I'm like, we can do that. We have all that and we're good at it. We have a great process. And it's just fun to see the whole thing take shape. So that first idea, that customer comes in, they have a problem, and then we just start. And that is really exciting to me. So I love being able to put that up on social media so everyone can see it.
And I have to thank you before you go in and compliment her even more for chipping in on our news segment. Like you're
Definitely.
world famous from WPTV News at 5 because we did a little joint feature with Jana from Posh Theory, and they were like, hey, do you want to bring someone in and set up a little podcast? And so you were just so good to jump right in. You're let's get a nice painting behind me. So we really appreciate you for dedicating some time to that, and hopefully you share the link to your mom. Then she here I am.
I did. I had a few people text my sisters actually saying, we saw your sister on TV.
That's
I was
awesome.
I didn't even know when it was happening because so many things were happening that actual day. But it was a blast being with you guys. Working with Jana is always fun also. And I love doing the media meetup as well. And she's a pleasure to work with. I think, Justin, you and Jana do a great job getting the media meetup set up. Having creatives come together in the area, I think it's great.
I think, I know earlier, Kara, we were just chatting on it's the need, right? It's we have this great creative community here that's just been, for whatever reason, underserved, right? Mm-hmm. Underserved as far as networking, underserved as collaboration, as far as communication and just meeting each other. And especially coming out of what seemed to be the worst time of the coronavirus where there were no events, right? The need was even more glaring. And here we were, right? Let's go off and running with the media meetup. I think something Kara mentioned not long ago, and one of the things that she's so great at her team, we'll be in concept meetings, right? And that's really where we go around, discuss creative needs, creative progress for internal needs or clients. And all the time, like clockwork, it's Justin, I have an idea for social media. I have an idea for Instagram. Here's how we can pull the curtain back further. Just yesterday, right, when it comes to process, she was talking about she asked me, how can we put this process online on Instagram, right? And it kind of hit me between the eyes. I'm damn, what a great question. Do you mean internal or external, work in progress? What? And she's well, both. And so she's always got this way to challenge the norm or the expected on social media when it comes to the type of content that can go out there that really makes me sit and think wow, that really is a better way to communicate how we help clients, and let's find a way to get on that.
It's fantastic.
Well, and you're just a fun person to be around, So it's it's very clear how much you care and where your your passion is behind your work, and it's you're lucky to have someone like her on your team because we've always
100%.
Enjoyed every media meetup with you, and we see all the posts, and we see that when you come here, I'm sure my phone is going to be buzzing 25 times with the tags after this with the behind the scenes. But I think that's an important thing to do is to help share the story, right? I know that you've been working with the balance team on hey, this is the people that are behind, and here's a little background story, and so businesses have to share some of that vulnerability, right?
Exactly. And like I said, my favorite part of seeing other social media is that process and those things, the story of everyone. People want to know where you came from. People want to know where you're trying to go. And getting that out on social media is the fun part for me. I love seeing that and I love doing that.
And they want to know about your puppies.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
What's up, Cooper?
Cooper he's 8 years old and he acts like a 1-year-old.
Good boy.
He's great. It's just a little red monster. I love him.
That's awesome.
I think Kara hit on something really important, right? That we've probably all seen intuitively, which is to understand where it comes from and like where it's going, right? What that capitalizes on when it comes to social media and how it helps grow businesses is it's that expertise, it's that leadership that you're really showing, right? Social media is no longer just like post my sandwich or like what my newest shoes look like when it comes to a business. It's how do we share what we've done, where we've been for clients, and subconsciously it's we establish ourselves as a leader, right? Because we have, to your point, Mike, the results, the goods, for lack of a better term, to prove it. It's not just yeehaw or we, right? Like we did it. Let's wave the checkered flag. It's here's how we did it. Here's how we get it done. Here's our perspective on X, Y, or Z. Here's what our clients say about us. And I think to win with digital, you need to have all those things, right? You need to have the cool looking things for social, but it's also, you need to create the confidence in other businesses to buy from you or other consumers to buy from you. Otherwise, you're just making yourself look good, but there's no substance behind it.
Well, it's relatability, right? Like we've all had that good day or that bad day or anything. And I think that's like the important slice is you really have to mix in the really well produced content with like the, hey, here's me on a selfie, like no makeup or just whatever, and people appreciate that. So I think you do a fabulous job. And I think we need to take a little bit more time to shout out more people on the team. Who's not here today?
Close to a half dozen people. So let's give a couple shout outs. So starting with some copywriters, Nick, Luis. We also work in Spanish. So we have a bilingual team, fluent team.
Oh, perfecto.
So, yeah. Sí.
Muy bien.
Luis, Sam, Enrique, Will, Sadaf. Yeah, I mean, we may need to edit that because I may be forgetting some people off the top of your head. Yeah.
It's okay. We'll do a voiceover later. Just move your mouth right now with no words coming out and we'll slice it in.
Test. No. Yeah. So, I mean, it's at Lincoln Digital Group. Like I said, I mentioned it a few times. I know that the founder, the CEO sort of gets the limelight, so to speak, right? But I can say unequivocally, it's the team that makes us what we are. I'm one person. I'm fortunate to work with Kara and all of our team wholeheartedly. And that's what I think makes the difference, is that teamwork, that team effort, that perspective, and knowing that when you hang your hat on who you want to help you grow, right? It's every single member of that team bringing something special to the table. And that's what I think we're really fortunate to be able to say at Lincoln Digital Group.
I do have to say, as the boss, as a CEO, he really is like, he has the ability to realize what we can do without him stepping in and trying to do everything. He does a really good job of putting the problem out there and letting us come to those conclusions and do what we do best, basically. I think he do a really great job of that. And I think we have an incredible team. Everyone is so talented. It's fun to work with everyone. It's fun every time we have our little Monday collaborations. I always look forward to that little meeting.
Me too.
You're gonna have to bring this up at your performance review at the end of the year. And remember those nice things I said about you?
And one thing I just want to say too to that is Kira's got such a great attitude, right? If it hasn't shown through, as I'm sure it has, but I want to tell a little story about how Kara and I started working together. So I graduated with Kara's brother, and one day we were talking and he was asking me about work, and I was like, man, I really need some design assistants, right? Graphic designers. And it's like, oh, I think one of my sisters could help with that. Long story short, I spoke with Kara like 3 days later, and she just jumped in. It's like, no questions asked. Like, what do you need? Let's do it. I'm here to help. Like, let's get it done. And that was going on 5 years ago now, I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, that kind of just tells you all you need to know about spirit, the attitude, and how lucky I am. So,
yay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. Well,
and get to hang out with Cooper.
On top of that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the Palm Beach podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Cheers.
Yo.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Palm Beach Podcast. If you'd like to give back and help our show grow, please learn about ways to give and donate at thepalmbeachpodcast.com.